Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Nicole, and I am someone who considers herself new to reading as a hobby, not new to reading in general, because I am very much an adult and I've known how to read, but new to reading in the aspect of actually reading books for fun as a hobby. And today I just wanted to give you a quick overview of how I would reread The Hunger Games, since there's a new book coming out this year. As someone who is absolutely obsessed with The Hunger Games, this is the series that got me falling in love with the idea of even reading. This series is very special to my heart, and I want to give you the reading order that I would suggest if you are starting completely from scratch. If you're brand new to The Hunger Games and you haven't even seen the movies and you don't know anything about the books, the storyline is basically there are what we call districts, and the capital controls all of the different districts. So the people live in the different districts, and each district has its own thing that it's in charge of. So, for example, one of them is in charge of wood, one is in charge of water, one is in charge of coal. Each one is in charge of something different for feeding the capital, basically, so that they can live this lavish lifestyle and they control everybody else. And in order for the capital to keep the districts under control, every single year they have what's called the Hunger Games, and they select a boy and a girl from each district to then be taken to the capital, and they have to fight each other to the death. They kill each other until there's one left. You get to follow specifically Katniss Everdeen through the process of going through the selection and then going through the Hunger Games. And there is an entire trilogy around this, and there's also a prequel book. This is a super simple series to read if you're looking for something that isn't absolutely massive, but still a fun ride and very interesting, very intriguing, and just overall a really fun read and a great place to get started. As I mentioned, there is a prequel to this series, but I'm actually not going to suggest that as your first book. I think you're going to miss out on some things if you don't start with the Hunger Games. This sets you up for the world. It explains what the Hunger Games is. And I really, truly feel like you need to understand a lot of the things that you come across in the original trilogy before you read the prequel. So super easy. You're going to start with the Hunger Games. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm going to say that inside of the Hunger Games, you're going to follow, again, the main character, Katniss, and Peeta is the boy that is selected, and you get to follow their story through the whole process of what happens when they get selected, how do they make it to the Hunger Games, what happens while they're waiting to go to the Hunger Games, and then what happens inside of the Hunger Games. And without spoiling anything, I do want to say that this is unlike any other Hunger Games that has come before. There is a twist, and that twist causes issues. Those issues continue on into Catching Fire, and you're going to, again, follow your characters all the way through, and a wild ride this is. You don't expect what happens in this Hunger Games. It really kind of it made me emotional specifically because I was very angry what happened, how the Capitol handled things, and how they chose who they chose for the Hunger Games. And again, I don't want to spoil anything, but this is just a crazy concept if you actually think about if this were actually happening in real life. Just how they handled this is just totally mind-blowing. So then after Catching Fire, you're going to finish up the trilogy, and you're going to go into Mockingjay. There's not much that I feel like I can really say about the storyline of this because I really just don't want to give anything away. The ending is so good. And then once you make it through Mockingjay, that is when I recommend The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This is the prequel, and I so wish that this was about the first Hunger Games, but it is not. It is about very, very early on into the Hunger Games system. I'm pretty sure that this was the deciding factor on if they were going to even continue the Hunger Games or not. I think they were still so young inside of the system that they just didn't know if it was the right fit for what they were trying to do. But this needs to be read, in my opinion, after the trilogy, because there's some references to the trilogy and things that you're just gonna miss if you read this first. You could read this first, but I just really think to get the most out of this series, you're going to want to read this last. And the new book that is coming out, I think is going to be placed after this one, but before the trilogy as well. I don't know anything about that one, and I like to go into my books blind, so I'm excited to read it. I've heard rumors that it is about a specific character that we follow inside of the trilogy, his Hunger Games, but I almost don't think that that's true. I haven't read the synopsis or anything, so I don't know anything else, but I really wish, if you've read the Hunger Games before, I really wish that it was about him. I'm excited to see if it's going to be about his Hunger Games specifically, but I kind of feel like it's not going to be. Super easy series to get into. It is younger, so it reads pretty quickly, and it's just high stakes, and like it just keeps you moving. It's super fun, super enjoyable. If you're looking to get into dystopian, this is a perfect foot in to see if the dystopian genre is for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.